What if the secret to unlocking your business potential wasn't working harder, but working smarter with AI? In this episode, I sit down with the brilliant Brooke from Wright Way Virtual Solutions, who is on a mission to help entrepreneurs harness the power of AI and automation without losing their human touch. From custom GPT bots that feel like your team member to practical tools that save hours every week. Brooke shares her journey from corporate life to becoming an AI automation queen. If you ever felt overwhelmed by content creation, email marketing, or business admin, this episode will show you how AI can free you up to focus on what you love the most. Plus, Brooke shares how AI has transformed her own business and why hard-led entrepreneurs need to be part of the AI conversation. Welcome to Unleashed and Empowered, the podcast for visionaries and hard-led entrepreneurs who refuse to shrink or settle. I'm Alice Taugs, your host, guide, and fellow traveler in the messy but magical journey of entrepreneurship, blending spirituality, energy, intuition, and AI to amplify aligned business and personal power. Through raw conversations, both solo and with inspiring guests, we explore the moments that change everything, helping you trust yourself, redefine success, and create with courage and ease. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to Unleashed and Empowered. I'm sitting here like a little kid in the candy store, so excited about today's episode because Brooke has just broadened my horizon beyond imagination when it comes to AI. And I'm someone who loves tech. I'm an early adopter in a lot of things. And so obviously the more I learn about AI, the more I realize how hard I have been making things for myself over the last 4 years being an entrepreneur, and how much easier the future is going to be. So without further ado, Brooke, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited.
Wonderful. So the way I like to start with, because obviously AI is still so incredibly new, the way that you're using it in your business and the way that you're helping your clients, you must have had a life before this. How did you get to where you are today? Give us a summary.
So I started using like a large language model, ChatGPT, in 2022 when it was released. At the time, I didn't realize that I was an early adopter, but looking back, I'm like, yeah, I have been using this for a while and figuring it out for a while. So I just started the way that most people do. You have to start with a chat, maybe helping you out with some content creation, and then just kind of it exploded from there.
The rabbit holes that we dive into as entrepreneurs.
Yes, that's right. And I just started to realize how useful this could be for my own business, but obviously other business owners as well.
Yeah, awesome. And the life before you moved to WA and before any of the AI even came into your awareness, where were you?
So I was based in Wollongong. I was working a corporate job in local government, and I was highly underutilised. And so I was kind of just playing with this stuff on the side and going down rabbit holes, but obviously like it's only just being rolled out in larger organisations now. And then September 2023, we hit the road in our caravan. And I decided that that was a good time to also start my business.
Love it.
And yeah, that's basically, where I started. And also I think a key turning point too was September 2023 was when I got diagnosed with ADHD and also as being autistic. So learning how to use AI in a way that suits my brain has just been life-changing as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. Imagine. Yeah, and we'll dive a little bit into that later because I'm really intrigued like, how can we use it? How can we make our life easier? Just some of the hacks that we can apply both to live and business, because the truth is we can use this across all aspects of our life. It's not just something that can help us to, automate and make life easier in entrepreneurship. It's also just everyday living.
Absolutely. Like, I'm a firm believer of that. Even if you're not a business owner, there's ways that you can use AI and automation. And I think too, realizing that you have already engaged with this technology, you may not have realized it, but you are engaging with it every day.
100%.
And have been for a while.
Exactly. And so I think, it's also important to note that obviously AI is not just ChatGPT. Like, we're recording this today in Riverside, and if you would speak to anyone who has recorded podcasts in the past, it was either incredibly cumbersome to edit the podcasts, or you had to outsource it to an external agency. That was potentially even cost prohibitive for some business owners. And these days, launching a podcast is just simpler than it has ever been, because of all the automation that already sits in the back end, all the editing tools that sits in the back end. It's literally a click of a button to say, give me Instagram reel snippets of the most important points of this podcast, and within less than 5 minutes you have a suite of a couple of reels to promote the podcast. That would have taken ages in the past, and this is why I absolutely love being an early adopter of this whole AI thing. And we won't even yet go into the strategy parts that I'm working on with my clients that have just completely blown my mind. So why do you think entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, those that are hard-led, that are spiritual at the same time, why should they care about AI?
So I think you just touched on it really well. So like, it's making what you do and getting your message out there so much more accessible. So like, people can start podcasts now. They can create great social media assets, those sorts of things that you needed to outsource. So you needed time and money to be able to do these things, to then get your message in front of audiences. Whereas now it's just so much more accessible, and that means you can focus on what you love doing. Like, so AI is sitting in the background of Riverside right now as we're talking, but that's not taking away from our conversation at all. In fact, I believe that it's enhancing it, because we're not worrying about taking notes. We're not worrying about our ums and ahs that it's going to take out for us. So it's actually allowing us to be more present. And I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you've hit the nail. What is it called? Hit the nail on the spot?
I think hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
On the head, not on the spot. There we go. AI, as you said, is in so many different applications these days. It's in the back of software. But I guess one of the most prominent things for people and solopreneurs to be aware of is ChatGPT. And when I started out with ChatGPT, I knew what the potential was, but I literally had no idea where to start. And as I said, I'm an early adopter. I love tech, I adore tech, and I play with it until I get the results that I want. But in the beginning, I have to be honest, the stuff that I prompted ChatGPT was less than ordinary, because I just didn't know how to speak to it. So if somebody is in the same boat, they might not be an early adopter, they may not have had any experience with ChatGPT. How do you train ChatGPT in a way that it starts amplifying you, but not sort of replacing the human touch or taking the human touch out of it, because that's obviously what we're so concerned about.
Yeah.
But just to get started.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I think you should keep in mind when starting. One is that large language models such as ChatGPT or Claude, whatever model you choose to use, they are idea expanders. So they're expanding on your own ideas. So you can brainstorm with these models, but like bringing your flavor to those prompts and having a conversation, using it as a collaborator. So you might start by saying, hey chat, I'm thinking about a new business offer. Here's what I need you to do. So being really clear on its role, how you want the output to be. So give me 5 ideas on where I can take this. Being clear about your target audience is another one. And also like the tone that you want that output to be, even if it's not for content creation. But with my custom GPTs that I have built, which we can get into later, I have built them in a way that it matches my energy levels, so that if I'm really excited about something, it gets really excited with me. And it's this like collaboration tool. And then the output that I get is way better. Another thing you can do is, if you do have ChatGPT, is download the app on your phone and use the voice. So use like the voice. It's not to text, but speak into it. Have a conversation like that, because it's then picking up all of those nuances of the way you speak, and your output, like the output that comes out, will be much more aligned with you.
Wow, I have never tried that. That is a very, very good point.
Yeah.
So basically the way I went about it was, you get hit everywhere on Instagram with all these custom prompts and all these ideas. And I think I attended an AI summit quite early on, where they had provided us with an entire list of early AI tools. And he was basically saying, build yourself a Word document or a document that explains what your business is, exactly the steps that you have just outlined, so you don't have to prompt it every time from scratch, and then upload that together with your task. And I have to say that's already made quite a difference to how ChatGPT then was able to put out some content for me. And as you say, the brainstorming thing is probably the biggest thing, because every now and then I was totally stuck on, what content am I going to share with my audience? I want to make it relevant. I want to make it educational. But then, there is so much stuff up here, because I'm such a fanatic when it comes to personal development, books, courses, and everything. I have so many frameworks in my mind. Trying to organize all of that can sometimes be difficult. And so then I just jump into chat and I just say, give me some ideas on what can I talk about with my audience over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good way to get started. And then, chat will then obviously propose some wording to you as well. And you can then just massage it until it feels like you're actually communicating and having a conversation with your clients, and then hitting send.
Yeah.
That would already save so much more time compared to freaking out because you haven't touched base with your database, your leads are getting cold, and you are literally leaving tens of thousands of dollars potentially on the table.
Yeah, and that's why I love this stuff, because pre-AI, social media for me was just like something that I didn't engage with because it was just too overwhelming, and I wasn't very good at it. Like, I'm being very real. It's not a skill set that I love, and I wasn't interested in it. Whereas now I have a custom GPT that takes care of my social media for me. Email marketing, like the ROI on email marketing is huge, and if you're not emailing your list, what happens is then you're like, oh, I haven't emailed everyone, like, oh, I don't even know where to start. And so even just brainstorming that with chat, like, where I haven't emailed my list in 3 months, how do I start? What should we start with? How do I re-engage my customers or my list?
Exactly. And so 2 things that you've just sort of touched on is your custom bots, which we definitely need to talk about, because I am obsessed with your strategy bot and Sir Click-a-Lot as well. My clients are going to get a taste of Sir Click-a-Lot results over the next couple of weeks as I'm rolling out my beta launch.
Yeah.
And then I have completely forgotten the other point. But let's just touch on custom bots. What is a custom bot? And how have you created your custom bots?
Yeah, so custom bots or custom GPTs are basically just a specialized bot for your business. So we build it out, we put all of your brand strategy, any frameworks, so your own, that perhaps if it's a marketing bot, we'll put in marketing frameworks that align with you and your brand in the back end. Any core messaging themes, your ideal customer persona, all of those documents sit in the back end so that every time you use these things, you're not re-prompting it. All of that stuff is there. So it knows to draw on that stuff for you. So I have bots set up in my own business for email marketing, social media. I have my own business strategy bot, so that's where I go to like, it's like a business coach for me, and we get really clear on my offers, my messaging, that sort of thing. I also have one for like just getting tasks done. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I have Brain Buddy that I just drop everything in, and it just helps me just tick off those to-do lists. But there's like so many ways you can use these. And you've got Sir Clicks-a-Lot, which is a general email marketing bot. But the difference with that is you're still telling it every time, like, hey, I'm Alice, this is my business. The difference when we build them for your business, all of that information is sitting in the back end, so it just knows. Like, I will say to my social media bot, and they all have ridiculous names because that's just what I like to do.
I love that.
Mine is called Posty McPostface. So I'll say to Posty, hey, and this often happens to me, like I'm walking or I just get an idea that I want to share on social media. So I'll pick up my phone and say, hey, Posty, I want to speak to my audience about this thing or this message. Can you really dig into the pain points of my ICP, so my ideal customer persona, and also can the call to action be my upcoming workshop? And then it will just spit something out that is like me to a T, and it's touching on the pain points of my ideal customer persona, and it'll give me some hashtags that are relevant as well.
Yeah, and that was the second point. That was the social media that I was trying to touch on as well. So tell me a little bit around, like, just give me a workflow of what have you been able to create and save with this social media bot? Because, you know, we're either in a situation where, like you, we don't really like getting in front of the camera. We don't really like talking to the camera. Like the amount of times that I have been hiding from posting because, again, it's not something that comes natural to me. And then, again, leaving thousands of dollars on the table, it's just frustrated me to the point where I have now engaged a social media agency. So she comes up with a strategy for me, and she will basically do everything. We've had a content shoot. It's now in her hands. It's out of my head. All I need to do is approve.
Yeah.
Now that comes with a cost. So perhaps your solution might be a solution that is a little bit more affordable for people that are only getting started, that don't quite yet have the capacity to outsource. So just touch on like the steps that you have been able to automate with this bot.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good point that social media marketers and strategists, they're not going to just like fade out. Like they still have these roles, and people are still going to outsource work to them. But for people who couldn't afford that or access that, this is where AI can just change the game for them. So instead of me not posting or posting once every month about some like generic thing, Now what I do, and this is probably because of my brain, I don't like to schedule stuff too far in advance. It's not who I am. It's not who my brand is. That's not to say that's wrong for other people. Heaps of people, will do a month's worth of content. That's just not how I roll.
No, maybe not.
I will just speak to ChatGPT or my custom bot and say, hey, like often I'll be like, oh, women need to be using AI more. Like we've got to shape this, come up with a post, and I will give it all of my ideas, but it just articulates it so much clearer than I would, or I would spend like an hour trying to refine that caption, then trying to come up with an image for that, hashtags, that sort of thing. So I have grown my own social media presence from December to now, it's mid-Feb, by it's like 200 followers. I think the percentage of that is like, because I had 150 before, because I just never posted. What's that? It's like 200% or something like that. I have the stats. Because I'm posting more consistently, but also I am speaking to my target audience. And that's the thing. Like, yes, followers, that's lovely. It's nice to get more. But the leads coming in now, I don't need to look for leads anymore.
They're just like, they're warmer.
Yeah. And people are coming to me saying, hey, I'd love to work with you. Saw you post, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow. That's just a total game changer because, again, when I started 3.5, 4 years ago, it was literally painful to try and figure out what to post. And as you say, it's wishy-washy. There is no real substance to it. You don't always have the confidence to ask for the call to action. And so by having all these frameworks and everything already programmed into the back end, it forces you to have either a soft call to action or, you're sending them down some sort of a funnel.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have used your bots as an incredible funnel through your emails where people every now and then get access to what you have created. So that's how I came across your strategy bot, which is mind-blowing. And I had come across this prompt that basically synthesized some astrology points with human design, and I then ran that through the normal bot versus your bot, and the answers for my strategic document and my visibility and growth plan for 2025 were so spot on that I was like, oh my God, I have just come across an incredible tool that is just like blows your mind. So thank you so much for your generosity around that, first of all, because what you have done is you have pre-programmed some key marketing frameworks into the back end, but not the old masculine stuff. It is more of the current stuff that we want to use as heart-led leaders, as people who are, believing in energetics, believing in spirituality, and that has a place within business. So I'm just in love, and obviously there is going to be so many projects that you and I are going to be working on together.
Yes.
The one thing that it has highlighted for me, and I'm curious to pick your brain on this. So it could be very easy for people now to jump on this whole bandwagon and say, I want to automate as much as possible. I want to work with ChatGPT as much as possible to make my life easier. What I have just come up with is a framework that basically takes people through alignment first, then we extract the IP, and then we start scaling, and then we start implementing AI automation. Because one of the things that chat sort of said to me was, well, if you don't align first, you're basically scaling a business that will burn you out because you haven't done some of the the foundation work that is so critical in order to build and scale and grow your dream business.
Absolutely. And
I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting.
Yes. And I think, again, you've spoken to the core of this. So like ChatGPT in its essence is amazing, but when you get like a bot or something that works, like you can shape it so that it's aligned with you, and then the conversations you're having together are in alignment. Like, I don't know, like have you ever hired a business coach or been to a psychologist that just doesn't, like you don't gel? So yeah, you can use ChatGPT and probably like learn to prompt it really well. But if you give it the frameworks that you want to follow, the podcast episodes, the books that you're really aligned with, teach it those things, and then it will help you get clear on what your business looks like. And then also adding to that for you, Alice, like, yeah, there's a whole other element of like human design, astrology, that sort of stuff that typically ChatGPT wouldn't just spit out. And that's something really important to talk about too, is that AI like inherently has biases. So like it is built on data, and like that is biased. And so it can often reflect those biases. So it's being aware of that and correcting for that. And then also, yeah, if you are building out these for your business, then you can kind of shape it in a way more that aligns with you than just that generic output.
Yeah. And to share with you as well, because obviously I have been going nuts with just using the prompt, using all the data with my mastermind clients. And like for this one client, she is just the most beautiful artist. Photography is obviously at the main the main thing for her, but then she does so many other things. So I really don't want to classify her as a photographer. And so I've put in all her prompts, I've put in her gene keys, her human design, her astrology, and what came out, I broke into tears because it was so incredibly beautiful and so aligned, and because I know her so well as well, where I was like, oh my God, it just feels like home, and I can't wait to share this with her because it will take out the overwhelm. It will take out the second guessing that we always do as females, especially when we're trying to grow a business. It's always like, well, is this me? Is this not me? And therefore, you know, the whole gene keys, human design and astrology aspect is just a game changer, because there is no questioning around it. We'll spit out some ideas. It will say, you know, launch a membership. Like for me as a manifesting generator with sustained energy, that would be a possibility, but I don't like memberships. So I'm like, okay, well, that won't be an option for me, but thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah.
And so it's goosebump material. I keep sending it to my mastermind clients, and they're like, holy, this is mind-blowing. I have been hesitant to, you know, put up my prices, but it clearly states that I should be working with premium clients, get out of that, you know, cycle of I'm getting money, I'm running out of money, I'm getting money, I'm running out of money. And just articulating so well what the next action steps should be. And in theory, if our brain wouldn't get in the way and we wouldn't self-sabotage, all you would then have to do is follow this over a consistent 12 to 18 month period. And there is no other option but for your business to grow into something really beautiful and really aligned. And I think this is why I'm so excited to obviously bring you on board in my business, start developing some of the custom bots, not just for myself, but also, I won't quite let the cat out of the bag yet, on some other exciting projects that I can't wait to brainstorm, because we're still very much in our infancy with trying to see where this all could lead. You touched on the biases. So obviously a lot of spiritual people, heart-led people might still think that ChatGPT is bad or is evil, or, you know, it's where AI is going to send the world into chaos. How can we take this role seriously, feed it with hard-led data, feed it with energetics, feed it with good stuff? Is that going to make a difference in the long term on how this all develops?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Like if we don't engage with this stuff, then what's going to happen? So I think we really need to be engaging with this technology. The more people engage with it, the more heart-led people engage with it, women, one, they're going to shape this stuff more voices are being heard. Two, who knows if someone comes up with this brilliant idea for a new technology that's like specific to those people, because AI allows you, like some of the automations that I have created blow my mind, because I don't have a coding background, but I have built scripts, all sorts of like coding based things just from reverse engineering in ChatGPT. So
wow.
And like there's no code options out there, which are all that's sitting behind that is AI. So it's just wrapped up in an easy to use interface for people. So I think there's a couple of key points. One is like, we should be questioning this stuff. We should be asking questions. We should be going into this with a mindset of like critical thinking. I think that's essential. It's not just like, whoa, this is the best thing ever, I'm not going to question this. It is questioning those things. It's also thinking about how you can use this in a way that feels good for you too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I do think that we have to be engaging in this. Like we have to pull our seat up at these tables, because no one's going to invite us to this if we don't say, hey, like there's biases in this stuff, and what are you guys going to do to fix this? Or, you know, female tech leaders start being able to like create their own like AI models. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah. And I think also, you know, for me, what you have sort of opened me up to as well is just thinking about, well, how do I want to use AI in my business? And I will make no secret out of the fact that, you know, there is a lot of AI in the background of what I'm using, of where it's helping me come up with ideas. But I think the one thing for me at this point in time today is that I will not have images created of me through artificial intelligence. I will not have videos created of me that is completely AI driven. I want to have complete rights or also directorship over what it is that I create, so that there is not going to be some virtual Alice out there that could potentially be misused.
Absolutely.
For purposes that are not hard-led, that are not in the interest of me and my clients. So that to me is just the ethical framework that I want to have for myself, and say, well, I see where it has benefits, but these are my boundaries around how I'm going to use artificial intelligence.
That's right. And that's where strategy comes into this as well. So thinking strategically about how you're going to use AI in your business, what are your boundaries, that sort of thing, so that you can get really clear on that. And when you do start to use this in your business and rolling it out in your business, you've developed that strategy. And so you get really clear on what that looks like for you and your business.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I know that there is people out there these days that just put a little bit of information in and say, write me a book. And I know there is now AI apps that literally do nothing but that.
Yeah.
And I think we also have to get really discerning around what is real that we consume and that we see, and what is not real, because it is so close now in terms of what you look at is so good quality that it could very easily be me talking right now on a podcast versus this is completely done by AI and it's not actually me that is driving the content. And so I think the discernment just has to be there as well.
Absolutely. And also transparency. That comes down to people saying, hey, I use AI in my business. Hey, this is an AI generated image of me. Like that. It needs to be transparent. I will always, like, I mean, my whole business is around this. I obviously use it, but I think you should be very transparent in the fact that you're using this technology. Doesn't mean you're cheating. It doesn't mean, like you're not working hard. It just means that you're letting it take some of that busy work off you so you can have the human connection. And that's the other thing I think we will see, is that this is also going to drive more human connection. People are going to want more connection. It's the same as after COVID. Everyone was so keen for face-to-face stuff, and we're still feeling that face-to-face, in-person connection. And it'll be the same with AI. Cool, here's what it's doing, and that's it does all of these things now, but that human connection, it's not going to replace.
Exactly. And I think the one thing that I'm really excited about is to really get rid of all the tasks that drain me, that I'm not looking forward to, that I postpone or not do at all, and just really concentrate on the stuff that I'm good at. And I want to serve more clients, and I want to be more accessible, to write out the strategic documents for my clients and then work on the implementation with them. And if there is stuff in the background that I can systemize and automate to help me do that for more people, then guess what? It's all heading in the right direction, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that means that you can focus on those things that you love. And I firmly believe that, if there's admin stuff that can be automated, then we should. There's also things that shouldn't be automated. And I mean, we saw this with Meta, rolling out those AI profiles, and everyone was like, what are you doing? That's a terrible idea. So they just pulled that straight away. So that's not what people are looking for. Having an AI person call you, that sort of thing, no one's going to be into that. Or maybe some people are, but I don't believe that it'll be a gimmicky thing. It won't be this is how we do these things anymore. But things if someone, and this stuff has been around for a long time, you think about when you've booked in for a hair appointment online. That's an automation that has been around for years. If you use Gmail or something like that, and you've got your inbox, and then you've got your promotions box, and then how it filters it out, that's all an automation with AI in the back end. These things have been around for a really long time. It's just now with ChatGPT, Claude, these large language models, that it's being rolled out to everyday people.
Yeah. And I just attended a workshop with you. Was it yesterday?
Monday.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Doesn't it?
And you opened up my world again when you were like, okay, well, then ChatGPT can actually send this to Notion so that you don't have to do this by yourself. And I was like, what? You can do that? I've been copying, pasting stuff. I think it's just, we don't even comprehend yet how much time we're wasting by doing everything manually, or even, going back and forth in emails and trying to figure out what is the best time to catch up. Well, create yourself a Calendly account and send out a link, and that person can then sync that up with their own calendar and decide when to book in. And I think, there's a couple of really simple tools that are AI enhanced these days that people can start with. What would be your non-negotiables to start making a solopreneur's life easier?
I think if you're not already engaging with a large language model such as ChatGPT or Claude, then start there. Just dip your toe in, because the possibilities with that are endless. I think if you do have you have online meetings and you're trying to schedule that, that can just be a booking link. And some of this stuff does take a little bit of time to setup.
Set
so
up. Yeah.
the way that I look at it, it's like meal planning, but for your business. So like, you know, on a Sunday night, so you plan, you set these systems up, but then for the most part, a lot of these will just run in the background. Yes, you might need to tweak them, or if you have an assistant, they can jump in and maybe change some emails or, you know, set your availabilities, that sort of thing. Like you are refining them, but it takes so much time away from you.
Absolutely. And you have just introduced me to Fathom.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've already used it everywhere now. Even when I have meetings with my virtual assistant, I'm like, don't take notes. Fathom is going to summarize it all for us. It will send it to you, and happy days.
And how good
Save
is that?
yourself that brain space.
So you guys can be so present in that meeting. You don't have to worry about the notes. You don't have to worry about highlighting actions. It all just sends it to you. And you can, in something like Zapier, send that on to ChatGPT. Like say you had a coaching call in your mastermind and then you wanted to have a summary for whatever Kajabi you use, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you could like send that meeting transcript into ChatGPT to then pick out the key points in like a nice little video description that then gets uploaded to Kajabi with that video. Like how long do you reckon that would normally take you or your assistant?
Ages.
Yeah. And that can just be automated and just sorted for you.
Mind blowing. And so I think, you know, one of the things obviously would be to say, oh no, I'm not going to sign up to this yet because that's a subscription and that's a subscription and that's a subscription. And obviously the subscriptions end up increasing. Stephen, who is my partner in crime, my partner in life, and also my accountant, keeps reminding me about my subscription costs going up and up and up.
It's a write-off.
Well, first of all that, but I also think that if you look at, you know, the accumulation of cost for a year. Now, I can't remember what Fathom was. I can't remember how much ChatGPT is. But if you say that, you know, you have a ChatGPT subscription, let's just say it's $50 a month. How much would you have to either pay a VA to do those tasks, or how much less earning capacity do you have because you're spending all your time doing stuff that you shouldn't even be doing?
That's right.
So I think we just all need to reframe a little bit around the spending on certain subscriptions. But if it makes your life easier, if it saves you that amount of time and that many hours, it makes business sense.
Like times your hourly rate by how many hours it's saving.
Yeah.
And then look at the subscription and tell me whether or not it's worth it. And like, I do get it. It does feel like a lot when you might have 4, 5, 6, 7 subscriptions to different things. I think looking at those and seeing like, is there a program that has all of this or most of this, then absolutely we can look at doing that. But if, you know, like ChatGPT Plus, Calendly, if you have the paid version, like these things are going to save you a lot of time, or they're going to save your VA a lot of time. Because that's the other thing, like getting a VA to come in and do your busy work when they could be doing other great things in your business, and this tech can be doing that. Like that's empowering for them as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've got my VA for 15 hours a month, and I'm not reaching the 15 hours per month because we're obviously in the process of automating a lot more in the background. And like if you think about it, 15 hours a month in theory is nothing, but she now has the ability to work on a lot more strategic stuff for me and really can help me shape this. Rather than, as you say, you know, write meeting notes or format something to make it look pretty. She doesn't do any of that. That's all automated through ChatGPT in the background. And we're now even having a look at getting her access to some of the custom bots or some of the things that I have already started teaching So we can reverse the roles where she can say to chat, this is what Alice's communications were over the last 3 months. Can you now come up with something for the next 3 months? Give us some ideas, get us started on some text for that as well. And then she can submit it to me. I'll review it, put my touch on it, and reverse the whole way. So again, I can teach and coach and do the things that I love.
So ChatGPT is like your junior staff member. Your VA has now become like that line manager, and then it goes up to you, like the CEO, for review and approval.
I love looking at it that way. That makes so much sense. Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about some of the AI mistakes that people should be avoiding, especially as they're starting out with it. What have you come across over the last couple of years?
I think we've already touched on it, like the bias that is baked in. So, that's like gender, race, like cultural assumptions. That is all in there. So be very aware of that. I was building out some marketing frameworks for a custom bot and was like, can you summarize like the top 10 marketing books? Every single one that it spat out initially was a male's book.
Wow.
So it's like, nope, go back to the drawing board here. So that is something that you really need to be aware of. Even things like social media captions, you might notice that if it spits out emojis, they're normally white or like the yellow, that basic. So just correcting for things like that, reviewing. So AI can make mistakes. It does make mistakes. So treating it like your junior staff member. So that also means giving it information to do its job well.
Yeah.
And then reviewing what it comes back with. So don't assume that it will just create something for you and you never have to touch it again. I don't think we're there yet.
No, we're not there yet.
Yeah, but if you give it really clear instructions on what you want, who you're speaking with, that sort of thing, then the output's going to be a lot better, but then reviewing that as well. And because you can see, especially when we're talking about social media, like I can tell when someone's just copied and pasted something from chat. And like, I get it because we all just want a shortcut. But there's just have a bit more of a conversation with it. Just say, hey, this is a good start. But can we make it a bit more playful? Even just just prompting it a few more times. Don't settle for what it comes out with first.
No, that's right. Yeah. I keep saying to it, remember the coriander energy that we're leaning into in 2025? Yes. Make it more coriander, no vanilla.
Yes.
Amp it up.
Yes, that's right. That's right. In fact, my business strategist bot sometimes asks me if I want it a bit more spicy because she knows.
Yes, yeah. She's done that before with me, which I absolutely love. But you're right. So I think just error checking is obviously super, super crucial. For all the strategy documents that I create, it still takes me a solid couple of hours to produce something that is so solid that it can then serve your business for the next 12 or 18 months. Because in the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm just uploading, the human design chart. I'm just uploading the natal chart. And then it had the wrong references, the wrong data. It said, this aspect was in house 5, whilst in fact it was in house 7. And I have now worked out exactly what data to extract, how to put it into a table so that it's almost error proof. But then every now and then it makes wrong references. And that's, I think, where it's just really critical to constantly prove and constantly check the output to make sure that it is accurate data. And sometimes, depending on how long the thread gets, it kind of forgets what it talked to you about at the top as well.
And that's where custom GPTs are amazing, because you don't have to just have this crazy long thread because all of your documents are sitting in the back. But another thing is, if you're using the upload document button in ChatGPT, it might only read the first couple of pages of that, but it doesn't tell you that. Whereas in the custom GPTs, there's a knowledge base. You upload all of your documents, and then you get really clear on, like, you need to read and understand these, and it refers to those, and it's searching its knowledge base, and that's a way to stop that from happening as well.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
And so obviously, you know, we're now at the place where I have a quote from you sitting in my inbox, and I can't wait to get started with this because it just makes so much sense. Like, if you're not convinced about it yet, then I don't know under which rock you're living.
Yeah. And look, I'm not here to convince you, but I'm going to just tell everyone who wants to listen how amazing this is.
Exactly. And I think, you know, for me, I'm probably in the same boat as a lot of people. Cash flow is still king. And the point that I just want to make is, if there is something within this that you really want, but you have no idea how you're going to finance it, think about it from a point of, which client do I need to acquire in my business so that I can then reinvest a proportion of that income back into working with you, or automating, or, you know, a subscription, or whatever the case might be for the individual, so that you can continue to grow your business and that it becomes more of that aligned business moving forward. And, you know, that's the approach that we're going to do. We're going to at least dive into that email bot, because that still takes up a lot of my time. My nurture sequence sucks. I'm very transparent. You know, I love when people find me, but then the way I nurture them.
It just doesn't exist yet.
You might be right. I think I have actually switched it off because it just wasn't great. And yeah, so obviously I'm leaving a lot of things on the table myself as well. I'm no different than anyone else, but I now have a very clear plan in place to say, this is now what comes first, this is then what comes next. And so, you know, we're doing it in a way where we're catching the low-hanging fruit. We are implementing what immediately should be bringing me income if we do it right. And obviously it comes back to my strategy, which I know is great. And then just repeating the process and just having a little bit of a plan for the next 6 to 12 months on what to do. And I know you're offering, obviously, the free workshops that people can engage in. You've got a workshop coming up where people can build their own bots.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be available that day, so I hope you rerun it again anytime soon, because I definitely want to be part of that workshop. And I'm going to bring you into my mastermind as well, because it just gives people more options, and that's what I'm all about. I'm like, you know, you need to build a business that it works for you, that it helps you, depending on how your brain works, depending on what your family commitments are, depending on how much beach time you want to have or whatever. I think it's just really there to help us manage things in a way that we can perhaps find that balance or that tango or that freedom in our life moving forward a little bit more.
Definitely. And just touching on that, like, so I started using AI. I was like, oh, this makes sense to me. But I invested in my own training as well. So I understand this. Like, I spent thousands of dollars to learn, like, to take myself to the next level. So I fully understand that. And I was just like, no, I'm backing myself on this. And my own return on investment of that, since learning how to kind of take this stuff to the next level, has been huge. So, and I do get it. Like, I have 2 kids. I fully get it. But also, like, what it has allowed me to do. I've brought on my own assistant now, which I just never thought, like, I would get to a point. And it's just been this natural progression. And it's something that I'm really proud of, and I guess that's why I'm so passionate about showing others how to do it now too.
Exactly. And I think, you know, you and I, we have a very similar approach when it comes to business. we're trying to work things out ourselves first, and then we would actually like to pass that knowledge on to other people to just shorten the time frame of getting to the same results that have taken us years and tens of thousands of dollars sometimes.
Yes. And all
and
the
just
mistakes.
collecting that. I know. And so I think that's where AI is just going to be a total game changer, as we're all saying. And I think, we still have only seen the beginning of this, but I truly believe, as you say as well, we need to be at the table. We need to continue to help and shape this. We need to feed it ethical information that is hard-led, so that if it develops a conscience, and if it has a conscience, that we're part of that super brain that is going to be developed. And I had a little glimpse of, early on, I guess it is a form of AI as well, when I was working in the medical field, because they have this supercomputer called IBM Watson. And the company that I was working for, I think, was feeding data into IBM Watson. And what it was able to do was, when you had one of those patients where nobody knew what a diagnosis would be, you would just feed it all the data and you would say, compare it to whatever comparison you want to do, cases around the globe that may have had similar presentations. So you can just ask me to run further tests, advise me what type of tests might be needed so that we can help this patient with this rare condition. And that to me was so mind-blowing as well, because we're all just humans. We all just have that much capacity to have output. And if we can leverage data and AI.
You look at our healthcare system, like doctors, nurses, they're so overworked. So imagine the potential for this stuff. And again, that's not going to take away that bedside care, those things. But if it can pick up some of those human error, because there's a lot of human error in the treatment of people, and if it can just take some of that load away as well, so that our medical system isn't as understaffed, then that is literally life-changing. And I just use this is such a random story, but we've got an old dog. He's 10 and his back went on him over the weekend, and I was trying to get him into the vet, and I put his symptoms into ChatGPT, more for peace of mind for me too, because I am an anxious person, and I was I don't want him to be in pain. And it came back and told me a few things that it would likely be. It also said, you need to take him to the vet, which we knew, but we couldn't get him in until Saturday. And the crazy thing is that the vet confirmed what ChatGPT had said, just based off his symptoms and his age and things like that. It's just whoa.
Well, I also just used it the other day to translate an MRI report, because Stephen has got some issues with his foot, and we keep joking that it's only when the moon changes and when there is massive energy in the world where this flares up for him. So nobody knows what he's got. Yeah. But also I couldn't read the MRI report. It was just such cryptic language that I was can you just tell me in simple, plain 7-year-old language, what does this mean? Exactly. Just so that you're a little bit more educated and informed about what's happening. But I also just came across this really exciting development where they fed breast scans through AI, and they were able to discover breast cancer 5 years earlier than from the first point of where you would physically see it on a scan. And that sort of stuff just excites me, because I have lost friends to breast cancer at the age of 33, which is way too early. And so I think, there is so much to come.
I 100% believe that AI has the capacity to solve some of these wicked problems of society. So medical poverty, but again, that's we need to make sure that people, like, it's not just like white people, it's not just men getting access to these systems. It needs to be fair and equitable as well. But there is definitely a level of like fear because it's the unknown, like how far is this going to go? But overall, I'm just really excited. I think this is an amazing time to be alive.
Oh.
This is an amazing time to run a business by yourself. Like, you can do that now and not burn out, plus all of the good that AI can do for society.
And I think this is what somebody touched on in their podcast a couple of weeks ago that I've listened to. I think it was even Daniel Priestley on Diary of a CEO that I was just obsessed with that episode. If you haven't listened to that episode, you have to listen to the 2 episodes with Daniel Priestley. So much gold. But he was touching on the fact that it has actually never been easier to start a business, to run a business, to make money in business. And as we all know, the economical impact of women running businesses and then women like us coming to a form of wealth that we can then utilize to either, buy the type of food that we want our kids to grow up with, or support someone through angel funding, or whatever options this gives you. I truly believe in my heart that the world is going to turn into a much better place if people like us come to money through being of service, through hard missions that are just so aligned with our purpose. And we're going to see that shift. Right now, the world is still in chaos. And from an astrological point of view, that is forecasted in inverted commas, but I think over the next couple of months we're going to see very great energetic shifts, and people will have to make a decision where they want to stand moving forward. And my stand is I want to follow my heart mission, I want to follow my heart business, I want to bring more heart-led businesses into the world, help people get over those emotional barriers, the limiting beliefs, the physical barriers. If somebody isn't techie, I hear that so often. I'm not techie. I'm not a numbers person. But we just we need to get those.
To do it.
I know. We just need to get those businesses out.
Yes. And that's the thing. Outsource that. And that isn't. We couldn't afford to do this before. You couldn't afford to bring on a CFO or an assistant if you were a solo business owner a lot of the time. But now you can just put it into chat and say, hey, I need help me. I need help with my numbers. Make a spreadsheet for me.
One of the things that we have to also be careful with is never put your entire P&L into your profit and loss statement into ChatGPT that then also has your ABN or anything attached to it. No tax file numbers, those kind of things. I think, again, this just comes back to the ethical use principles of systems where we still don't have 100% full clarity, or at least I don't, how some of that data is being used in the background. Can you shed a little bit of light on, with custom bots, is data a bit safer, or does it still feed into some supercomputer, some super brain?
You can turn off certain aspects of that, so data and code analysis. You can also turn off whether or not it can access the web, things like that. So you can have a bit more control when you're building out these custom GPTs. So I teach in my workshop how to turn that stuff off, so that it can't be hacked. It's called prompt injecting, where someone just basically tries to get access to the files that you've put. So it's simple. It's just a toggle. But you need to know that it's there and what it means to be able to do that. So it's just having the information to know how to do that. And if you're using ChatGPT for client work, just be mindful of what you're putting in there.
100%, exactly. And that's why, with astrology data and everything, there is no first name or last name attached to it. It's literally like these days, the way that I use it is literally just, this is the table with the information, no date of birth, no place of birth, all of that doesn't get fed into ChatGPT for exactly those reasons. Yeah, it's so much to think about, and it's very easy to obviously get overwhelmed with all the possibilities that are out there. Do you want to give us a little bit of let's say a starter kit of your favorite things that have really helped you outside of just the custom bots?
Yeah, so, and I guess this speaks to both like automations and AI. So I guess the way to look at automations is like it's a workflow. So it has clear steps that it follows. So like step 1 is this, step 2 is this, that. Whereas AI and like these large language models, you know, there's like this brain, as we would call it. So just getting clear, like they are different things, AI and automation, they often work together. So I think, and we've talked about this, like content creation, like if you are just like, oh, I hate social media, then just like use ChatGPT for that. That's okay. Some people love content creation and they're not going to use ChatGPT for that, but they'll use it for other things, like, because that's their zone of genius, right? So yeah, if you hate social media, if you know you should be emailing your list, but you don't know where to start with that. I also think like in the automation sense, like, yeah, if you're manually handling bookings, invoicing, that sort of thing, there's amazing tools out there. I use, my CRM is called Moxie, which I really love. It's got a really accessible plan. Like I think it starts at $12 US a month, and you can book meetings. If you time track, it does all of that, and then it can automatically generate an invoice, proposals. If someone signs a proposal, it generates an invoice based on that. Like, think about how much time that saves you. Social media scheduling, if you can. There's tools like Metrical is free for the starter plan. So that's another one. I feel like so many people hate social media because we didn't start businesses to become marketers unless you started a marketing business.
The front and and to be honest with you, like, you know, I was just saying that in my recent email, I have a Bachelor of Business. I have an advanced diploma in marketing. I'm a professional event manager. And my knowledge has literally gone out the window by starting my own business. So many of the principles that I have learned, that I have used in massive corporations where I had, you know, sometimes millions of dollars of budgets, they just don't work for my business. And I'm like, I feel like I'm starting from scratch. And it's like you need to rebuild every single little bit of knowledge. And like, I can't even comprehend and imagine what it would be like for other people that don't have the business background like I do, you know, because I always say just because you're a great cook doesn't mean that you automatically can run a restaurant.
That's right. Yeah. And I think just starting small, just pick one tool that you're going to try and play with that. So if that's ChatGPT, if that's Claude, you don't need to know all of these things. It's impossible. I don't. And I often feel overwhelmed, like, oh gosh, am I not keeping up? But I think it's just picking a tool and playing with it, and then just keep engaging with it. Keep figuring it out. I think engaging with it, creating rather than consuming. So like, yes, collect some information, maybe like some better prompting, listening to this podcast, that sort of thing. But then you're really going to learn by doing. And so just get stuck in with one tool and just start there.
Yeah. And I think we also have to remember that, you know, there was a time in our lives when we didn't know how to be an entrepreneur, and we're still walking and laughing and figuring this thing out. And I think we just need to use AI almost like in that same mindset to say, well, I don't know it now, but if I, play with it for 100 hours, I'm already going to be so much further in front than the majority of other people that have never even had an opportunity to open up ChatGPT and let them write your shopping list or come up with some dinner recipes. And I think this is the thing as well, like, you don't have to get started with it from a business point of view. Just say to it, hey, I've got some guests coming over. One of them is a vegetarian, the other one is dairy free, and I need to come up with some dessert ideas.
Absolutely. I love that. I took photos of our garden out here and dropped it into chat and was like, is this a weed? And I was like, yes, that is. But also, trim your olive tree branches for better airflow. Like, it just, I took a photo of the weed, focusing on that, and ChatGPT saw all these other things that I hadn't even thought of, and basically has taught me how to care for our garden in our new house.
What are some of the other random things that you have just accidentally done and it just produces something like that?
So, meal planning is another good one. Date nights. My husband will probably hate this, but like, when we've had a fight, so I'm like, chat, here's my side, because I know I can be really opinionated, and I know that that's something that I need to work on. So I was like, here's my side, here's, like, how I normally react. Like, can you help me with this? And I think as someone who's neurodivergent too, like, that is really, really helpful, because often we do miss those nuances. I am very like justice, like, no, that's not fair. So it can just be like, take a breather with chat and just talk it out. And that might sound really bizarre to some people, but it's really helpful for me.
Oh, no. Like, it's not bizarre at all, because I needed to have a conversation with my mum, and my mum is my biggest trigger in my life. I love her dearly, but she's the biggest trigger in my life. And so I just said to chat, look, this is really difficult for me. This is what the situation is. Can you just suggest an approach so this doesn't blow up? I need to be prepared. And it was really comforting. It was like, oh, okay, well, obviously, this is a sensitive topic. We need to make sure that you approach it correctly, and perhaps see it from this angle and from that perspective. And I'm like, cool, okay, well, thank you. That was really beneficial. And because also in our brains, we dramatize situations so much that we sometimes forget what the facts are. And it just kept me sticking to the facts. It gave me a little bit of an outline, and I just felt a lot more prepared going into the conversation with her than without it. So
because one, you've taken the time to like write it out, so that's like an act of journaling right there, right? And then you've had a conversation with chat to like work through this, prepare, and like, think about how game-changing, lol, because that's such an overused term at the moment, but how game-changing that is for someone who maybe doesn't have the means to access a psychologist or a counsellor.
Yeah, you're right. It just gives you the different perspectives. Drop in, can we work together on a manifestation bot that where you almost put in like your vision board, like you put a description of your vision board and you say, this is what I would like to achieve. Can you now please just write out for me a day in my life of when I have already achieved this, so that it can get really visual, and then your I am statements, or even your affirmations, affirming in the brain and rewiring the brain, and then perhaps even I know you do the pop-ups where it sends you little messages. So
if you have access to ChatGPT tasks, which hasn't been rolled out to everyone, but it will, you can set up reminders. So I have a daily affirmation that comes to me every morning, and I love it. But you could set up like I'm training for a half Ironman in 3 months. I've got 6 hours available every week to train. I'm 37, female, I've got 2 kids. Can you please write me a training plan? Also, I have a history of tendonitis. Like, get really specific. That's obviously me I'm talking about right there. But yeah, and say, send me a plan for my week on a Sunday, and it can do that. But just going back to that manifestation bot, so you said, like, and I can type out, you can take screenshots of your vision board and drop that in there and say, so I have done this. I've done this for so many things. Sometimes my desktop just looks crazy with screenshots, but basically I reverse engineer stuff. So an example is I was doing some work for a not-for-profit. So they obviously didn't have a big budget for like an ongoing admin support. So it's like, here's the process that they're currently doing. What parts of this can we automate? And one of the things was a referral form. That is a Google form. And so I looked at the steps of that and was like, okay, well, someone needs to come in here and then go into the Google form, look at the response, and then send that on. So it's like, hey, chat, can we automate this? And it's like, yeah, you can. And I was like, okay, well, how? And so it then said, well, you would make a Google script that sends that form summary into their email. So it's like, okay, but how? How do I do this? And so just keep digging. And then when it wrote the code for me, it wasn't quite working. So I was just screenshotting, like, hey, so this is the code I've put in. Here's the error. Help me fix this. And just kept going with that.
I love that. Yes. I love that because I have very, very baseline, like 1% coding knowledge, but it's enough for me to go into my website and make changes without having to change like some of the complete back end.
Yeah.
And I just love it. And it's like, okay, this doesn't work. Let me know how this works.
Yes.
Massive, absolutely massive. And I think something that I also did this week, I obviously, as I said, you have opened up my world to this whole AI thing. And I think one thing that I didn't really realize how much I was using it in my business and how much I was leveraging AI. And so then I came up with this idea of, ancient wisdom meets AI and the future of business, how strategy can be AI amplified and enhanced by giving it all this information. Because I had created all these strategic documents for myself, but I was like, what have I actually done here? And so Chet and I just went to work and I said, you need to help me reverse engineer this because there is gold in this. I want to use this with my clients, but I have no idea what I've actually done in the end because we just refined and refined and refined. And it then basically reverse engineered it with me. And we have then been able to create a actual product or a service and offer out of it that I can then sell on to my clients without waffling on and trying to explain to them what it is that I have done. The other thing that I have also done is I said, look, these days you need to have some sort of a framework, some sort of a methodology that you can use in your coaching business. Have fun with that. Just ask ChatGPT to say, help me reverse engineer this, help me figure out what I have actually done here, and then help me create some sort of a framework around it so I can explain to my clients what the transformation is.
Absolutely, because I think a lot of business owners, that's where they get stuck, right? Like they know what they do, they know like how to do that, but how to get that message out to the right people, that's where so many business owners struggle. So that's where like AI can come in and help you with that part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm conscious of the time. We could obviously talk for days, and I know that this is not the last time that you're going to be on this podcast because of everything that's happening currently in the background.
Yes.
What are the things that you are going to focus on in your business in the first half of 2025? Is there anything that you have got coming up where people can get a taste of what it is to work with you or get a taste of custom bots, talk to us a little bit about what's in plan for you.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm just taking some quantum leaps at the moment, and have kind of restructured my offers. So I'm starting to run fairly regular intro to AI and automation workshops, which are free, and that's a really nice way for people to just come see what AI and automation is all about. I know you're not even a beginner, and you came on Monday and really got a lot out of that. I'm running a workshop on the 6th of March where we build out a whole team of custom GPTs, so our bots, and we'll get really strategic about this. So we'll develop a lot of like strategic brand documents that sit in the back of this. If someone wants to book in for a strategy session, and we can talk about like how AI and automations can work in their business, which Alice, we've done. That was like one of our first interactions. That's a really good way to kind of just see where you're at and where you want to be. And that's probably the first quarter of the year. But then, I've got some big plans for the back end of the year, and I'm really excited.
Well, we can't wait. I very much urge people to subscribe to your emails, because hopefully you're going to drop a few more of your incredible bots over the next couple of months.
Yes, if you're an email subscriber, you do just randomly get amazing bots dropped in.
I love that.
Speaking of that, if any listeners are keen, then I will send them my business strategy bot, Alice, that I know you love. So we'd be happy to pass that on to your listeners.
Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated. And your email is one of those emails that I make sure lands in my inbox rather than in my promo box, because I want to read them. I want to see them. And if I can just, I guess, infuse a little bit of that magnetism that you have been able to create for yourself in my business with your help, then, mission accomplished. And I know that obviously everything that we do is continuous refinement, continuous tweaking and changing, because things move so fast as well, and we develop so fast these days as well. But I can only say it again, it's an exciting time ahead, and I feel like my business has just landed in its sweet spot, and I know and I trust the universe that it will always bring me the people and the systems that I need when I need them. Because as a last little note, so what I had done at the end of 2024, I started off with a little bit of strategic planning for this year, because I know that if I don't have a plan, it's like throwing spaghetti against the wall. And it's like trying to, shoot an arrow with blindfolds on, and you're trying to hit the bullseye, but you're miles off it. And so I had this plan, and I had a couple of offers in there that I felt really excited about, but I was like, there is still something that I would like to intentionally leave blank, because I can sense there is something coming that I'm not even aware yet of what that might be. And when I put together my I've got a calculator that basically then breaks everything down, where I can play around and say, okay, I want that many people in this offer. I want to repeat that many times. And then it just works out whether I'm reaching my target or whether I don't. And my plan was still $70,000 off my target. And I was like, oh, well, universe, you know what that means. I'm leaving space for you to drop something really special, because I don't know yet what that is, but I can sense there is something big coming. And literally within 48 hours, I think I had catch up with Sandra. Sandra then dropped your name at the same time I came across the ChatGPT prompt, the extensive one that I have then used. And it literally just, one thing led to another, but so fast, where I'm sitting here and where I'm working weekends because I cannot wait to get this stuff out, because that's how excited I am.
Yes.
And that's how much I want to rejig some of the parts of my business as well.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like just that, mirrors my experience. I was just like, nope, I I'm leaning fully into this space. I've found the thing that I'm really good at. I feel like I have tried so many different things, and I am like, this is what it was all like. It has brought me here. And then within, I don't know, 2 weeks of fully committing to that and my message, I met you. So that's amazing.
Wow. See, and this is the thing that I always have to relearn to trust in the universe, because, whenever you're manifesting something, if the other party is not yet ready, your manifestation is going to be delayed because you weren't ready. And, it's like trying to manifest your life partner or something like that. Your energies need to physically match. The vibration needs to physically match. Otherwise, you're here, I'm here, or the other way around, and we can't meet because our radio dial is not on the same frequency. So I just love how, I felt something, I trusted my instincts, and everything just ended up working out perfectly. And by now I know how the universe works in business. So by now I know how to trust it.
That's, like just thinking about that. If we had had that interaction even in December, I don't think I would have been ready. But then we had that conversation in January, and a lot of things shifted for me around my mindset and my energy. And Sandra mentioned that she had spoken to you. I didn't know you, and I was like, I'm just going to drop you a voice note. That is not who I am, but I was just so ready. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I love that you're keeping it real as well, to just say, this is not something that has been there forever. It's something that you had to step and grow into. Yes. And that you're now ready to be of service to the world, just like I am.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like there is a lot of people that just need our help, that need a little bit of the hand holding, and together we can make the world a better place. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that it's not overwhelming, and that AI isn't here to steal your job or anything like that. I don't believe that. It's just going to allow us to be more heart-led, creative. It's going to allow the space to do those things that we truly love.
Yeah, exactly. For us to enjoy the stand-up paddleboarding a little bit more, perhaps.
Yes.
Before we wrap this up, is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with? Obviously, all your details are going to be in the show notes. And as we said, subscribe to your email list because it is gold. But anything else that you would like to leave our listeners with?
Just again, I think, don't be scared of AI and automations. This stuff it's here. It's been around for a long time. There's just it's really in our face at the moment. And it's not here to replace us. It's here to empower us. And if you want to use it and use it to scale your business, then absolutely. And I'm here to help you with that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I love introducing our community to other heart-led leaders that obviously bring in complementary skills and knowledge that we don't have. And so thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being so generous with it as well. And play around with this strategy bot. It is the bomb.
Yes, love that. And thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks. Bye.